Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, here with my darling co-host, most patient man in reality television podcasting. We have Phil over here. How are you doing today, Phil?
Hey, how we doing, everybody? Very patient, very excited to talk about the race. Only 2 episodes. This is the second to last episode. Oh, no.
I know. And if this is your first time on Reality Realness, well, then welcome. We're so happy to have you. Please join us in the comments and please hang out and join in the discussions. We only have 2 more episodes of The Amazing Race Season 32 happening. I am sad because I have really enjoyed getting to know these people, and it's coming to an end. So what are your overall thoughts about this final, before the final episode, the pre-final?
Yeah, I mean, I was very excited. I think the 4 teams that are in the final 4 here are the 4 best teams that were in the race. Very excited to see how it went. I'm not quite sure if I really enjoyed the whole no detour, no roadblock. Like, it felt like it was just like a race. Well, I guess it is a race, but it was missing some of that Amazing Race stuff. And I don't, besides the final task, the tasks were quite easy. Yeah, but we'll talk.
I agree. Okay, so do you want to start with our survey from last week, and then we'll get into the episode?
Oh, yeah, maybe I should pull that up, eh? That's a good idea.
All good. No stress.
All good.
Stress.
Oh, you know what? I did pull it up. Hold on one second. I printed it out. Wow. Give me a second.
Wowzers. He printed it out. So if you haven't done so already, we would love it for you to please subscribe right down over there. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers, and we're moving up fast. We're at about 530 right now.
What excitement.
If we get to like 540 by the end of this podcast, like, this would be amazing. So we're just trying to go up there. We're getting closer to 1,000. Sorry.
Okay, well, here's what I remember from the survey, because I did print out stuff. Almost everybody thought that Gary and D'Angelo would be the last team to be eliminated, which doesn't surprise us. And then they did think that, oh my God, I'm completely forgetting everything that was in it. It wasn't that exciting. The hardest task they thought was the garden task.
Oh, right.
Which I kind of agree with as well. It wasn't that exciting of a poll, so we're just going to leave it at that. Okay. But thank you everybody for participating in it. It was great.
Thank you so much. Well, we have a new poll for you it should be in the info box below or description box. Yeah. Hello, Cindy. Who's Cindy? Cindy, someone new. Hi, Cindy. Thanks for joining us for our chat about The Amazing Race. Second to last episode. Holy crap-holy. I mean, someone, though, must be so excited to finally be able to share that they've won $1 million.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder, I mean, I probably know the answer, but do you think that they get to, like, at least keep it in their bank account but don't touch it so they can get that sweet interest for 2 years? You know, or does The Amazing Race get to keep that sweet, sweet interest?
Well, yeah, I don't think that they definitely weren't given the check until it aired. So that, yeah, they probably don't have any interest. And they probably, the sweet, sweet Amazing Race tax man probably got their hands on it as well before the.
How much do they get taxed? Like 30%?
Yeah, I do think it's quite high. I think I heard a rumor that the winner of the million gets about 700,000.
Right, so about 30%.
Yeah.
I mean, in Canadian, that's still $1 million. So no way. If you want to give me $1 million Canadian over $699,000 American, like, I'm totally fine with it. So
pay for a trip around the world. You can give me like free gas, or you can give me like a camera. I'll be fine for winning. I'll take a free trip.
Exactly. So we learned at the beginning that Riley Madison was quite product placement-y. Would you like? Did they not get enough of the Travelocity logo?
Yeah.
But they have them like booking their flight to Norway. Little do they know that booking their flight to Norway is what they were doing, as everything has been shut down for the last 9 months, 10 months. So they don't know this yet, obviously, because we're watching this in the past. But it is interesting seeing that they have no idea what's going to happen in the future, which is kind of cool, a little bit.
Yeah, it's one thing with the race that's been nice this season is seeing how we used to travel before COVID.
I know. I worked as a flight attendant. I was everywhere, always, all the time, and not like, I mean, I'm still not really a germaphobe. I just don't leave my house. But like, I just like, I'm pretty lax in that area. I don't have a real fear. And so even just seeing everybody else have this fear, and for good reason, many, it kind of is disheartening a bit. I just want a little bit of semblance of normalcy again.
Agreed.
Little bit. So they booked their flight that they won't ever use, and they're leaving to go to Manila, Philippines, at 2 p.m. So have you been to the Philippines? Is it on your list?
I haven't been to the Philippines, but when I was a little kid, I did a school project on the Philippines, and I got a pen pal from the Philippines, which was nice. When I was little, which was great. And then I had all these newspaper that were from the Philippines send me their newspapers and all of that. I remember it was a really fun project that I did. And yeah.
Learning a little bit more about you. Do you still have these newspaper clippings?
I don't, unfortunately. I think we had to hand them in, so I don't think I ever got to keep them. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, when you're a kid and your name is like in a country, you're like, oh, I love the Philippines because that's my name. So, but I think I would love to go there. I mean, the Survivor has been at the Philippines quite a bit, and I mean, this is the country of the infamous Colin and Christy Ox breakdown on The Amazing Race. So Philippines is big on The Amazing Race. So
also how Rob and Amber lost.
Was that where they lost?
They couldn't spell it when they had to put it in, or they had to spell it on something, like on wood things or something.
All right.
When spelling it incorrectly. I think it was the second time they're on the race, though. They left a lot earlier. I'm obviously, this is so long ago that I don't fully remember, but I remember Philippines was the spelling. He kept on spelling it wrong, like 2 P's or 1 P or 2 L's, or you know what I mean? Like it was like he was just
right
up the combination of letters, and he never got it, and they never recovered.
Spelling counts.
Spelling counts. I mean, and spell check, these poor people these days, like they can't spell anything anymore. It's scary. I mean, even me though, I'm just like, I kind of forget how to spell things a little bit. So I keep on writing things out. So I have to like remember how to spell it. Going. Do you have any connection to Philippines? I was intending on going there maybe this summer, 2020. One of the flight attendants, she has an Airbnb there, so I'd have somewhere to stay for free. I was just like looking to see if I could do a partnership with other people that I know that worked for like Air Canada and stuff like that. If we could do like, hey, I can get you a flight here if you can get me a flight here, kind of like figure out how to work our passes and stuff like that to help somebody out and stuff. So it was a potential spot for me to have visited this summer, but that isn't going to be a thing. Nope.
No.
You want me to come, apparently, universe. So next up, they're going to, wait, hold on, pause. Did you know that it was the texting capital of the world?
No, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that actually we've learned a lot about like some of the info this year about the countries have been quite cool. Like they're giving us little facts that are like, oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, I love facts. I love using this information because I like knowing that stuff. Jeopardy or Trivial Pursuit or random question games, like I like having random knowledge. So it's very helpful for me to gather some more random knowledge without being in school and being in interaction with people. I'm still getting a little bit of the learning, a little bit.
It's important.
Second up is Will and James. So they were almost an hour behind them. They left at 2:52, which I was kind of surprised by the gap.
Yeah.
Because they seemed obviously that it was a little bit closer together after finishing the slide puzzle and leaving. Like it seemed like Will and James figured it out in a tighter gap. But to know that
Yeah.
it was an hour, I was quite surprised. And then like 45 minutes after that, Hung and Chi. And then pretty much almost 2 hours after Riley and Madison got to the pit stop is when Gary and D'Angelo had showed up. So
Yeah.
they said they're planning on winning. They're not there to lose. No participation points. I don't know if they were sounding like winners, though, when they were saying this. You know, there was some sort of, maybe they filmed it all afterwards, but it didn't seem like a winning
No. Yeah, I wonder how much, like we saw at the end of the episode, we saw how people were feeling. But I wonder if D'Angelo. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
As a pause, I just need to read this since this is amazing. Ron says there's been a lot of trivia about the race. It brings back the learning to the places they visit, like earlier season. Maybe that's why we're really enjoying it, because like I do feel like we learned stuff about these countries of the past seasons, and I don't know if we got away from it or they didn't realize why people like the Amazing Race, but I like it because I like learning about the countries and I like seeing people flounder in other environments, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like this season, they have gone back on they did their promise of we're going back to how the race used to feel. I think that they did a good job with that. They made it about the cast, they made it about the places, and they didn't like. There wasn't too much. Like I know they brought the yields in for everybody to use. What that didn't affect anything, but they didn't like make it too silly and make it like about a race. Then we didn't know what was going on. Like it feels like we were quite clear about what was happening. This alliance was crazy, so it was good.
Enjoyed this whole season so far. Sorry, so I did cut you off with that comment because
I was just saying, like I kind of feel like I don't know. I think D'Angelo probably once it hit to the final 5 teams, he seems to have been a little bit more checked out. I think he maybe without admitting it, I think he might have known that they were sort of in trouble.
Well, I think that we started to notice that Gary and D'Angelo weren't interacting that well together anymore.
Yeah.
It seemed as though Gary was always irritated with D'Angelo, and D'Angelo wasn't really responding. I think he was just taking it in without really expressing how it was making him feel. And then I'm sure he felt terrible about that last challenge, making the tiles. They didn't get eliminated, but I think that maybe Gary probably made him feel pretty badly about it. Not intentionally, but probably like, man, like all you needed to do was, and like he probably felt bad.
Yeah.
And I think that Gary kind of makes him feel dumb a little bit. A little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and all the tasks that I can remember that Gary has done, he's done quite well.
Well, yeah. And I think it was quite telling when and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I think it was quite telling when D'Angelo sort of said, I don't need to do this race. Like I could go around the world without having to do this race. So maybe he was checked. I kind of feel like he was kind of checked out.
Absolutely. I mean, I will definitely get talk on that again, but I do agree with you there. So they're all on one flight again, as usual. I didn't see how they got to Phil. I guess it wasn't important, so they didn't have enough time. But they see Phil, and he's basically downtown in Manila, and they're going to do a city sprint. So you kind of mentioned when we first opened up here that you wish that it still had the Amazing Race structure. So what are your thoughts even further about this sprint?
I think that this was one of their attempts to change it up a little bit without going too crazy. But I think that this has had about as much impact as the Mega Leg really did this season. Like, I think nobody's going to go back on it and go, oh, those were amazing tasks. Like, I get why they didn't do a detour or a roadblock. Like, I mean, the tasks weren't, there was nothing really overly hard. Even the memory one, which was hard for them, really wasn't that hard. So I don't know. I don't get why they decided to do this
I don't either. Like, why couldn't they still do the detour? But like, if they wanted to amp it up, make them do both sides of the detour, or like make them both do them together, or do them separately and switch, or something. Like, I wish that they played around with the format that we're used to and conditioned with, and instead of just doing something completely different, like, we're not going to do what we usually do. We're just going to make them race. And you're like, well,
but that's what they're doing.
Yeah, they're racing still. Format. So I don't know if it was maybe because they didn't have enough activities that they wanted to do over there. I don't know. They flew all the way to Manila to feed a horse or donkey, or run around the city, put their hand inside a dragon, and put some guitar cases in orders with flags on them.
Yeah,
that's what they did. Am I missing something?
The high heel race.
Oh, and the high heel race. All things that I feel like they could have done anywhere in the world. And so maybe they couldn't find something that was maybe specific to the Philippines. Like, I don't know. Nothing to do with texting. Like, they're talking about it being the text capital of the world. Like, make them have to, like, solve coordinates using text messages. I don't know. Like, I don't know. So I was underwhelmed with all the different activities in this particular leg. I found the high heel running race was funny, or cute, like silly. Oh, the hard part though was that when they're on those, they were called, what is it called? I wrote it down. Jeepney.
They're like the Jeep. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but jeepney, stuff like that. They're on the back of those, and they had to kind of wait till they see like a traffic car guard, dancing traffic guard, like, and try to get the clue out of his hand. I thought he was having a good time.
He was having a great time.
And terribly though that both Will and James and Hung and Chi missed it on their first time. I feel like that's a little bit unfair. What do you think about that?
Well, kind of like random, like who misses and who doesn't miss. I don't know. I didn't like the people who got it didn't like grab him or anything. They just had their arm out. Maybe there was a certain way that they were supposed to have their arm out to get it the first time.
I don't know, but like it just didn't seem fair that it was possible for no fault of their own to not be able to get that clue in a timely fashion. Like I felt like it should have been something that was equally as easy for everyone getting in their car like that, you know? Yeah. So it's kind of like it was interesting to me, like, okay, where is he coming? What are we looking for? And like I love clues, you know, that we loved the idea of doing scavenger hunts, stuff like that. So that was interesting. But they didn't have to solve really anything.
No, like, there was no puzzle,
I wanted it to be like a riddle or something. Like, okay, yes, it did say red and green, like urging traffic, whatever the riddle was. But it wasn't a difficult riddle, or like they had to like go and collect information to solve something further in the end. That would have been, in my opinion, more satisfying if they're going to have a scavenger hunt type event, you know?
Yeah, and even, I mean, like the drivers knew where to go. And so, I mean, I don't know if the drivers purposely would be in a different lane and they had to wait for them to tell them to go over or something, but it just seemed like there wasn't much challenge to this challenge.
Just if you're unlucky. You know, maybe they told some of the bus drivers or the jeepney drivers that, okay, you miss it, and like just told a couple of them to like not make them around and like luck of the job which one you get, if it's like go straight or a looper. I don't know. Pick one: City Chase or Face Off, which is a better twist.
Probably the Face Off is better because at least they have to do something. I mean, at least the Face Off. I mean, the only thing I hate about the Face Off is Phil's commentary on it, because usually it's a task which doesn't need commentary, and he's really over the top cheesy, like being about it, and it's like this is silly.
They're throwing darts, and the fourth. I feel like they did something stupid like that before.
Yeah.
But you know, dark. Yes, I'm gonna get to that comment in a second. Okay, so they have to keep their eyes peeled, and they're on their way to the Mall of Asia. Sucks that they both, Will and James and Hung and Chi, missed the clue. Oh well, but they go to the shoe capital of the world. Is that right? Or am I just writing things down? The capital of the world, everything. High heel shoe? Stiletto? What was it?
Oh, I missed that. I didn't hear it was a capital of the world.
I mean, maybe I just wrote that down, but I wouldn't have wrote it down for no reason, I don't think.
Maybe it was.
But the route info is hot on your heels, and they have to basically do was it 5K?
In heels.
And if I'm not mistaken, Phil was wearing Tevas. He was not wearing heels, was he?
Yeah, but he did wear running jeans, which I thought was interesting.
Is there like, well, you don't need to run if you're not seeing your feet, or like to see like the upper body, whatever, and like, and then have some other person's feet that you show, you know. I wanted Phil in the heels. He didn't do it. So they're going to be running. Raleigh and Madison get there first. They seem to be pretty easygoing with it. I thought that D'Angelo and Gary, they showed up second, were pretty funny. Just D'Angelo was kind of grumpy from he put on those heels. Like, I don't think he was in a good mood at that point. And finally, Will and James and Hung and Chi show up there, and they're kind of, I think Hung and Chi took off first, and then Will and James kind of took off after them, but were able to overtake them in the end. So they have to go to the Arch of Goodwill, which is kind of, there's a normal arches down in downtown cities, and find a lion that has a clue for them. So there's a bunch of different lions that are dispersed in the city, or in this little area. How did you think, like, it feels as though it was pretty easy, but we learned that it wasn't that easy. So what do you think about this part of the task of finding this lion?
Well, getting there, I mean, obviously for Hung and Chi was difficult to that part, because, I mean, that was probably the most race-esque thing. That whole episode was them getting lost. Like, that was something that was like, oh, okay, so there's a team that's in trouble here. Mm-hmm. Getting to the lion thing, I don't know. Like, I felt like because the drummer was by the one that had the clue, and I thought they did say that other ones had it, but it seemed like everybody got it from that same spot.
Right. Well, I think it said, maybe I'm completely wrong, but I thought it said that find find the marked one, or find the one. Like, I think it's specifically, to me, was it one? Multiple ones had it.
Okay.
I don't remember the actual phrasing.
So it kind of looks like they were on like a route from where the start was, like almost like as if it's still part of a race. Like they went through it, and then there was like 2 blue lions, and then there was the red lion to go to. I mean, the one thing I did like was that the lions were definitely not helping them get their clues. I mean, they were not helping at all. It's like, whoa, rip that mouth open. They had like closer mouths than the dental challenge. Like,
right? Dolores is in the house. Hello, Dolores. Hello. Thank you for hanging out with us. Yes, we had to start a little bit late today. Life gets in the way sometimes. Punctual. I'm sorry. And Shukri, we will talk about your comments a little bit later. But nice to have you in the comments here. And if you have anything that we're talking about right now, we'll definitely pull them up on the screen for you. Raleigh and Madison also couldn't find, they just had a lot of trouble, we'll say, finding these as well. So Hung and Chi was like, Chi were terribly bad at this. And I found that when Hung and Chi was going around, she kept on saying statue. And I was like, oh my God, why does she think statue? Like, stop saying statue. It's not a statue. Like, and then even in like reenacting what it looks like, but statue, where's the statue? And so that's another thing that I think would get a lot of people tripped up in this kind of race, is having your own idea of what you think
it is
like, and then not allowing yourself to maybe see what it actually is.
Yeah.
I thought that was hard for them. I was worried. I was really, really worried that they were going to fall. But okay, so Chi wanted to go back to the arch. So this is when Hung and Chi are kind of running around, like looking for it, asking people. People have no idea what they're talking about. And Chi was like, "Let's go back to the arch. What was the Arch of Goodwill? Let's go back there." And Hung was like, "No." I was like, "Where's that 90 seconds, Hung? Let's take a little here because I think that's a very good idea." Is to go back.
Oh yeah. If you don't know where you're going, go back. Yeah.
Like, this is where they told you to come. Let's go back to there and start there instead of like trying to find something when you're already lost.
And everybody around you is like, no.
No idea. I don't think so. Shukri asks, I thought that Hung and Chi were from the Philippines. I do not believe so. I thought they were maybe from China, but I don't want to be.
I believe in the first episode when they were doing the steel drum task, I think the girls had said that they were from Vietnam and that Hung and Chi were from Chinese background.
I feel like that is correct. I'm with you there. Shukri says I was rooting for Hung and Chi because they're parents. Yes, so was everybody. I think that they definitely were the underdog in the beginning of this leg, and we were just hoping that they would be able to figure it out. And I wrote down at that point that I was like, "Uh-oh, she keeps saying statue."
Yeah.
Oh, this could be bad. So everybody else seems to find it. Like Will and James seem to find it pretty decently. Next up, then Gary and D'Angelo find it eventually. Is that right? Yes. And then Riley and Madison found it third in the end, correct?
Yeah.
But
no, yeah, they seemed, and they all seemed quite close to one another at that point.
Yes, I think. Well, I mean, unless it was like editing again, you know. So they go to the central post office, and while they're there, they have to use a bucket that's behind. I don't know if it was a donkey or a mule or a horse.
They said horse, so I think it was horse.
Okay, I wasn't sure. They seemed kind of small, and I didn't really hear. There's a bucket behind the horse, and they have to go and find these different ingredients to feed the horse. I'm not sure why they needed to do this in Manila, but they did do this task, and it just seemed quite simple and quite basic.
Yeah. And again, this could have been the roadblock. The lion one could have been the roadblock. The high heel one could have been a roadblock. Like, yeah.
So confusing. I mean, I'm going to listen to other people bringing in people on their shows and see if we can get more information there, because the exit interviews of like Gary and D'Angelo sometimes might be revealing. And so I'll find out next week if I can get some more tea as to what happened there on Zoom.
Maybe they lost the signs. Maybe they couldn't get them there. Maybe the roadblock and detour signs just didn't arrive in time.
The editor that has it on his computer is like, he's on vacation, and they weren't able to get access to the roadblock signs. So Hung and Chi finally find the lion. So I was happy that at least they were going towards the next task. And the only people that were there at that moment were D'Angelo and Gary and Will and James. I'm not sure who got there first.
Gary and D'Angelo got there first, but they struggled on it because they kept missing things.
It seems like there's only 4 things to do, though, or like maybe even less. Nothing.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm not on the race, so I know I'm just talking like somebody that's like, oh, I've raced this race so many times. I'm so good at it. I'm just like an outsider on my couch, but it just seemed like it was a lot easier than they were struggling for so much, and it was so easy in my opinion. So they did travel on foot there. Oh no, stop. So everybody finally catches up. I don't think Hung and Chi gets there while Will and James were still there, but Will and James were able to leave first, and they're very excited about being first on the final leg in order to be able to get into the final 3. So they leave first. Did Riley and Madison get Gary and D'Angelo?
They did, yeah.
And then after that, Gary and D'Angelo goes, and then a little while later, we'll say Hung and Chi were able to get there and then eventually figuring it out. So they were to travel on foot all the way over to, I don't know, another little area where they had some musicians that were going to be playing 4 different pieces of music that they heard throughout the race. Now, it's going to be on a loop, 4 different songs, but they were supposed to place it in the order that they heard it on the race. So the first song that they heard out of the order of the 4 that they're playing, they put that one first, second, third, fourth. And they're doing this by identifying them with flags that are on cases of musical instruments. Now, there's only 4 of them. Like, they got to know that in the final leg, they're going to be doing, like, however many legs they were on, like 12 or 13, like, or mini legs, or, like, they're going to need to do a little bit harder. So I thought this was quite easy in comparison to what we've seen them do with matching, like, the flower that you didn't pay attention on the lapel of the shirt. Like, which lapel was that? Like, there's much that they've done to them that this seemed to me quite easy. What was your thoughts?
I'm gonna. So one of the twists there was that it was only 4 as opposed to something from every leg. So those really detailed people might have got a little confused because they might have been looking for something from each leg of that race to have for a memory thing. I actually, when I saw it, I was like, you know what? I don't know if I was paying attention to the music that they were playing on the race this season. I didn't catch that one. I did know the Trinidad and Tobago song, Yellow Bird is, it was, no, Deo. It was Deo. It's like, okay, so I know that song, but definitely, I was like, when I heard the carnival music, I forgot about it being in Colombia on the high wire, because I was like, I thought about France and the amusement park that they went to. I was like, did they play that there? I don't remember that.
I think it would have been different if we were actually there.
Yeah.
Because we just would be like, oh, like in there for like an hour, like hearing it over and over and over and over again. So we're only kind of hearing snippets, and then we're having people, doing their commentary over top of it. So we're not, it's background music to us, but there'd be background music to them that they were just hearing like constantly for at least half an hour or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they would have, they would have had to have played it over and over and over again. I mean, otherwise that wouldn't be fair. So they had to make sure that people heard that music. But yeah, no, of the flags, I mean, flags is very generic for a challenge. I mean, if you're going the race and you don't know the flags of the countries that you've been to, shame, shame, shame. That's not good.
No, exactly. Not good. And I really just thought that they were going to zippity zip through this one. I really was like, okay, so the order is going to be how they get here now. Like, I thought it was so easy that they were just going to breeze through it. Yeah. And then I heard Riley say that they have to have it in the order that they're playing it. And I was like, oh. And then he's going to share that information with everybody. Oh. So this is where I thought what the big misdirect was going to be, because remember we kept on seeing Gary and D'Angelo when they finally got there, they kept on getting 3 and then just 1 wrong.
Right.
I thought they would have figured out it was just the 1 wrong, and they would have gone in and snuck in, and then it would have been a dog fight for the the 3 teams that were working together to get the 2nd and 3rd spot. So that's what I thought was going to happen when Riley was so wrong and shared that information when Will and James were there, as well as when Hung and Chi showed up. Now, I'm also very disappointed that Hung, who was very assured in the beginning of that task, the fact that they had to put it, she said it, we heard her say it, put it in order that we on the race. Yeah. And she knew what to do, and then she just fell into working with those other 2 when Madison and Riley were like, oh yeah, well, we're just going to do all the other permutations and we'll just figure it out like manually. Wasted all that time doing it manually wrong without second guessing maybe what information they were using to make these templates,
Yeah, it was a big mess, and it was actually really frustrating because at least one of these teams has made this mistake many times of read the clue to the point where they should know to read the clue, and it looked like they were there for a while. Like that, I don't know. It's frustrating because when it's the same team that keeps not doing it, and then they sneak in and get in there, you're like, I want them to learn the lesson too. Like they need to read that clue.
No, not my team. Truca said it was sad to see how other teams are working together. I don't know how I feel about it.
Do you think so? So going off of that, do you think now at that point that they should have told them, look, us three are going to work together? Like, do you think they should have just told Gary and D'Angelo and just been honest with them? Because now watching back on this and seeing it, do you think Gary and D'Angelo are going to be happy that they sort of got set up?
Well, they were already, they'd have to be apologizing for many legs already. Like,
yeah.
And I don't know if you caught it, but there was one point where D'Angelo was asking for help, and Gary's like, "Shh, come on."
Yeah.
Like, so I think that Gary probably had a feeling that helping. It seems like D'Angelo was more so the one that was also asking for help most of the time, like kind of taking a lot, and so he did seem to recognize that. And so I think that I think D'Angelo is going to be salty, regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hopefully that they look back on it as a good thing. I mean, obviously that alliance of five was so dominant in this, and they were part of that, which good on them. Yeah, I think it's kind of hypocritical to get too upset about it because they didn't seem to mind to work together when it was an alliance of five. And, good on the other three for thinking it through and making it work. We've never actually really, I don't think we've seen this before. Oh, thank you, Dolores. That's what.
Getting into the spirit.
I'm festive. Look at it.
Yes, you are festive. I need to get a new hat, actually. That's something that's on my list. I'm going to do that tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow. Santa hat. I mean, I might have one somewhere, but just we just don't know where it might be. So I just might as well get a new one.
I have 5.
I believe you. I believe you. Yeah, this the whole time though, when they were just doing all the different permutations, and it was just super painful because I'm just like, when you get it wrong a zillion times, read the clue. That's it. I get it wrong twice, read the clue. 4 times, read the clue. Like, even if the first time, I think if I got it the first time and I got it wrong, and I thought it was right, you know what I mean? I would go back and read the instructions again. Even I've been playing online reality games, and sometimes there's a code breaker type thing that you have to do, and I would think that I did something correctly, but I wouldn't get the code, and I was like, or you move on to the next level, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And then you'll go back and you read it, and it's like, oh no, it's supposed to be in this order or whatever.
Right.
Might have read it, but read it incorrectly and then doing the task incorrectly. And so instead of just reinforcing what you've been doing wrong and correctly, go back and read the clue. Would have saved them hours.
Oh, yeah.
Hours.
Yeah.
So they didn't do it. D'Angelo eventually kind of gets wind that both of them, or those 3 teams, are kind of working together, which kind of sucks. But, it only sucks because you're not part of it. It didn't suck. You didn't care about it sucking, kind of like you said, when you guys were steamrolling other teams. So
yeah,
sorry.
It's painful to watch because D'Angelo and Gary weren't a bad team. They were a great team, and they made the show great. But it's just one of those things. None of them wanted to go up against those guys.
And I thought it was interesting, though, that Hung and Chi and Will and James figured out that they didn't read the clue correctly. Do you think that Will and James would have said anything if the other teams didn't figure it out as well?
I think they might have told Hum and Chi. Yeah, I think that they probably would have at that point. I think that everybody was done with it, and that they had already started working together, that the fact that they had solved it. I think for sure Will and James would have wanted to, if they could have, been the first team to leave. But they all left sort of at the same time. So
yeah, I was getting the feeling that Will was kind of want to keep it to himself, finish it, be right, and then tell him
and then do it. Yeah.
That's what I felt that he wanted to do. And then Hung and Chi was already being very open with that information. So they're like, yes, we just figured that out too. So we don't look sneaky. So I think that there was maybe a little self-interest that was going on in that moment, but able to rectify with Hung and Chi being so selfless and kind. So basically they had to make their way back to Phil, where they started on this city tour. This is such a short leg. So first to the mat basically is Roddy and Madison. Will and James are second, and Hung and Chi are third. And D'Angelo and Gary decide to take a time penalty. Now, I wonder if it would have been advantageous for them to have taken that time penalty in the beginning.
Oh, it might have been. If they did it right off the bat and said, we're taking a time penalty, that actually, they might have been okay. This season, one thing that was really nice that we didn't see a lot of were time penalties, where like self-inflicted time penalties, where they go, I'm not going to finish it. Always boring to watch those, but yeah, it's sad.
Flora says this whole group has had a problem with reading. You would have thought they would have learned. It's so bizarre, though. I'm just like, very simply, I'm not getting it. Read the clue.
Yeah.
The clue. Read again. Yes, Dolores. We don't know what's going on with these guys. So they took the time penalty, and they do end up making it back to Phil. And to Shakri's point here, he says that D'Angelo was so rude at the end when he said that he wished he didn't do the race. And I thought that was really unfortunate too, because there are so many people that would do anything to be on that race. Like, I think that would be an opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was just kind of poo-pooing it because he got outplayed by other people a little bit. Like, if he was just a little bit better at that task, he could have just finished it. You know what I mean? It's like he didn't get helped by people, so he's upset that he didn't win. You know? I don't know. It bothered me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this again goes with the whole, it just sort of felt like the last couple of legs, D'Angelo was sort of done. And Gary was like, let's look good and keep trying and go for it. I think they might have been having some problems between the two of them. Like, I think maybe just sort of rubbing each other the wrong way.
Yeah.
He did sort of turn it around towards the end when Gary started saying some positive things. Like, yeah, I think it's sort of that poor sportsmanship little bit there where, a reaction.
At the top of their game, and so they must be a little bit upset.
I'm sure 2 years later down the road watching this, I'm sure that they're over it, and they probably look back on it like it was a good point. So,
absolutely.
I hope.
I mean, I would think so. You can't hate that experience. It's so life-changing. And so once he realized like what he was able to do, I think the sting of it hurts. But yes, definitely Shakri. Gary was way more optimistic. Yes. So then we learned that I guess we can play it, I think. Did I save this? Maybe I didn't.
Off goes the cuckoo clock. Hold on.
7 o'clock. So yeah, nothing really else happened in this leg. It wasn't that exciting, unfortunately, but obviously I love these people, so I liked watching them. I am a little bit happy, especially with Gary and with D'Angelo being kind of salty at the mat, that he wasn't in the final three, because I just don't know if I want to see him salty at the final three mat. Like, if he didn't win, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to see that, because that like people would be sad, but they would be so happy with each other. And so I think the final three will give us an ending that we'll be very happy pretty much with anybody that wins. I mean, you might not be happy with Will and James, but
but I'll be like, if Will and James win, they've earned it. I mean, they've done a great job. I think that these are three very strong teams, and I'm not actually going to be quite upset with any of the teams winning. I'm hopeful. I mean, Hung and Chi have been my team that I've been wanting to see win. I'm hopeful, but honestly, I think any of them winning would be a pretty good winner for the Hall of Fame of Amazing Race.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely enjoyed all three of them, and would be very happy to see any of them on an All-Stars season, and anybody take this W this season. So unless you have anything they're going to be, did I say they're going to New Orleans? I say that, or did I just think it?
No, they said that. They said they're going first class flight,
Right.
going to New Orleans, and no, that should be good.
Is that where the Michelle and Victoria were from?
Might be, yeah.
That would have been interesting if they got there and they
Yeah.
would leg up there.
Yeah. Usually, usually there's a team that makes it to the end. It's their city hometown, right? They get hometown advantage.
What else? I guess that's pretty much it. So do you have this week's survey that you want to talk about?
Yeah. So on the survey, some of the questions, what were people's thoughts about this leg having no detours or roadblocks?
Mm-hmm. And I was saying that I kind of like the format of the race. I found it more interesting. We have a lot more to talk about when we have this the structure, and if they're gonna change it up, maybe change it up on like the mega leg or something like that. Like, I think that this leg needed structure for it to be a little more entertaining for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think people go on the race and they like those things, the detour and roadblocks, and the audience likes it too. I think the fact that they just ran and there wasn't any like points, I don't know. They could have turned some of those into detours or roadblocks.
It's very interesting. I want to know why.
Why? Yeah.
Dolores says I'm with Phil, although I'm not. I'm also not a Will and James fan. I understand. I like them though, but I can see sometimes they aren't being the kindest. So I definitely, I get it.
We asked what the most difficult task was. Going through them all, I'm probably going to say it was probably the last one, the memory task, with the flag and that.
Mm-hmm.
I asked if should they have just told D'Angelo and Gary that they're in an alliance of 3. Yes or no. You said no. I kind of feel like at that point it didn't really matter either way, but maybe to save face in the future when they all get together and have a drink.
If I'm not mistaken, though, I think that I've heard that Gary and D'Angelo are the only 2 people that are not in like the Amazing Race group chat.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe they are really upset about that whole shenanigans. Maybe.
What country was your favorite location from this season of Amazing Race?
Well, you know that I love France. I mean, I'd have to look. I can't remember. Okay, can you name off where they were?
Yes. So Trinidad and Tobago.
I mean, love it, but
Colombia, Brazil, Paraguay, France, Germany, Kazakhstan, India, Cambodia, Philippines, and the USA.
I think that I liked, off the top of my head, the tasks, though, of Kazakhstan the best.
Yeah.
I think that one, like, I love I'm an actor. I love making movies. And so I like the whole movie magic part of that. I even like the setting up the yurts and, like, doing like that attention to detail task. I just feel that I liked Kazakhstan, and it's probably somewhere that I never will probably visit. But I liked seeing the country a little bit, and I like the tasks that were on that leg. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the tasks on Kazakhstan were great. I actually also think that France was probably a really good one. I mean, they went to some places in France that we didn't know of. I thought that art challenge was a difficult one, but it was interesting. I loved the carnival that they went to. I want to go to that carnival. I would love to see all those old games. And even like Trinidad and Tobago, this was the first time they ever went to Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, that place knows how to party. So how do you not want to go there, right?
Absolutely. I just have been to many Caribbean city or countries, so they're similar, but it's definitely on my list. Like, if you want to go to Trinidad tomorrow, I'm like, yeah, okay, I do. I definitely enjoyed there as well. I mean, all the legs were pretty good, but those are the standouts for me as well.
Overall, will you look back on Amazing Race 32 as a good season?
Yes, I would put it probably at about an 8.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I think it's been a little while since a great season, and I think that I'm going to give it to them. I think that I'm really happy they really like promoted this as this was going to be a really good season, and it was. And I'm going to put these ones together. Who do you want to see win, and who do you think's going to do it? Who's going to win?
I think that I want Will and James to win. Because there's something about, like, even though they're receiving a lot of hate and a lot of people don't like them so much, I feel like they really want it, though. Like, they're trying really hard. They've done the practicing, like, it's their dream. And I like there's something about seeing their dream come true is, for me, it's really compelling. And so that could be why I'm more committed to their storyline. Not that anybody else doesn't have the desire and dream to win, but there's something about how hard they've tried to be on this show for so many years, over and over again, so much rejection about it, and still continuing to want to give it a go. And so feeling that perseverance and to be rewarded would be, for me, the most satisfying. Now, who do I think will win? Riley and Madison are kind of better sometimes. And if there's any little mistakes that either Hung and Chi or Will and James make, they don't usually make that same mistake. And
right.
So being back in the United States, I feel like they're okay. And I think that they might take it.
Ooh.
Do you agree? What do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm rooting for my only draft pick that's left. Chi. I would love for them to win. And we'll see when. I am thinking we are going to see Hung and Chi pull this one off. I think that they have that ability. They really ran a strong race at the beginning. I think that they're turning it around. It's going to be, I think, a really tight race, almost all the way to the pit stop. So, sorry, to the finish mat. So, who knows? Maybe we might get a race to the finish mat.
I mean, you never know at all. I mean, I think that that's my order. Like, if Will and James don't win, I think I would want Hung and Chi to win secondly, because they do have a better story. The volleyball brothers, great racers.
You were going to call them the Beards, weren't you?
Maybe.
The Beards.
I don't want to give them the Beards. But yes, the Beards. Like they just, they're just two young guys that are good at the race. I don't know if I care for them to be the winners. You know what I mean? Like both Hung and Chi and Will and James have a compelling story that I can get behind. And so I see that. One of the two of them win, I would say, for sure.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what the audience thinks. So make sure to fill out the survey in the link. We want to hear from you. It would be great.
Yay! And I can't believe it's almost coming to an end.
I know. What are we going to do?
Maybe Drag Race.
Ooh.
January 1st.
All right.
That's something that you would maybe want to do. I'm just throwing it out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love Drag Race, so yeah, we can definitely
do a few more of us, like maybe me, JoJo, and Jonathan might be the foursome.
Woohoo!
That could be something that's fun. Depending on what day it comes on, like maybe going on right after the episode might be ideal. But if it's on 10 p.m., that might be too late. But if it's on like 9 and then go live at 10 or 10:30, like not too bad, unless that's too late for you.
I stay up late. So.
Okay, good. Ron says the Beards are a stock team player that plays, no personality, but so strong they can win. Exactly, Ron. So I don't really care if they win. But if they, I wouldn't be surprised,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying. Yeez, are you getting excited for us doing a Drag Race? I mean, it's only because I saw the preview when I was watching the challenge. And so I saw like all the different queens or whatever, and it looks so glossy and good. So I'm like, okay, well, they definitely did something. So I'm interested to see what came out of COVID Drag Race. I'm excited. Anything you're on? How many followers do you have on Twitter?
I have like given up, but we're still, I think, at 12 or 13. So let's keep it going. Although I didn't advertise it, I'm sure it's down below. Feel free to follow me. That would be wonderful.
Yay, Dolores.
Dolores, please.
And for me, like you already know, but I'm doing season 5 All Stars of a Big Brother Cheesecake. It's week 1 has gone on. I'm still around, still here. So if you want to kind of follow along, I keep on forgetting, but I will put the link to kind of the whole YouTube channel in the bio description box below, and you can follow along. And then every week we do have 2 people that were from last season that has been covering Reality Realness with 3 S's, and doing the exit interviews for each of the eliminated house guests. So if you want to just get some interesting Big Brother content, follow along. It's actually surprisingly more interesting than you would think. So especially you're going to know most of us, a lot of us that are playing. So if you know Jonathan that does The Masked Singer with me, he's on this season. Jojo, who has done some Big Brother stuff, as well as he's doing Sequester with me. There's just a lot of us kind of floating around. So if you want to see how well we do on our second time around, let us know and join. All I got. Subscribe. Bring that back.
Subscribe.
Please. And so every time we go live, you'll be able to be notified. And please like this video. Ooh, one last thing, Dolores. Yes, I would follow you if I had Twitter, but I don't. Do you have Instagram?
I do. You can Instagram me, p.gourlay.
Yes, Phil is getting the followers. And if nothing else to be said.
Oh, wonderful.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.